Good evening, everybody. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so Bionano Genomics is going to be reporting their second quarter earnings today for 2023, and it's going to be super interesting. Okay, we have a lot of things to talk about. The share price of Bngo is up about 3.6%. The market is set to close in the next 11 or 10 minutes. So, good evening, everybody. Doug Brad, member for 11 months. Oh my God. Thanks so much, brother, for supporting this channel. Simon, what's going on? Christopher, what's going on? What's going on, guys? Are you guys still holding Bionano Genomics? Have you sold out? Are you planning to buy more? Let me know in the comment section. Today is going to be super interesting because, Bionano Genomics is going to be announcing their second quarter earnings, and a lot of things has happened with Bngo. Most recently, we have that reverse stock split. Good afternoon, Gary. What's going on, Alpha? So we have that reverse stock split, and yesterday we saw Bngo going down as much as minus 18% yesterday, guys, and it went as low as $3.8, more or less like 38 cents. Oh my God, Simon, down 80%. Bought it around 15. Okay, around $15 is your average. I mean, how is Bionano Genomics going to get to $15? It's more or less like a question for the gods. Okay. So we are going to see what they're going to report today, and what kind of miracle the company is going to be performing, so that it can help the share price of the company to go higher, so that at least most of us can break even, or take little loss or take some profits. Nobody knows. Let's wait and see what the CEO is going to say today. $15, but it's worth 3,000 now. Okay, 15,000. Oh my God, $15,000, and now it is worth $3,000. That is a massive drawdown, minus 80%. God, that's insane. All right, so 9 minutes left. Bionano Genomics is going to be reporting their earnings. We'll see what the company has to say. If it's going to be the same old story, if it's if there is something new going on. Somebody is saying that normally Bionano Genomics was supposed to drop the preliminary earnings result, okay, but nothing like that is happening. Instead, they give us reverse stock split. If you own 10 shares of the company, now you own one, so they take your shares and give you one. And the thing is, they are trying to avoid being delisted by the Nasdaq. That is the best way I see it, okay? Because if your share price is down over 3 months below $1, Nasdaq can just kick you out, okay? And I don't think that strategy is a smart one, because most people, whenever a company is performing reverse stock split, most investors they see it as weakness. And for example, I already gave you guys an example of a company that did something similar. This company is called Evofem, okay? Evofem Biosciences. This stock, okay, used to trade way above where it is trading presently. Look at that. It used to trade around $52. Then they kept performing reverse stock split, and you guys can see the stock is down to 38 cents, okay? So hopefully that's not going to be the the end result or end game for Bionano Genomics, because I have a lot of my friends are still holding this stock, and maybe some kind of miracle is going to happen. Maybe a company is going to buy Bionano Genomics. We have even Pacific Bioscience of California could buy Bngo at this level. And Pacific Bioscience of California is also going after the market of Bionano Genomics. They are doing something with their long read sequencing technology. There was a breaking news yesterday from PacBio. For those of you that are holding PacBio, look at that. This breaking news right here was from yesterday. PacBio inks research collaboration for genome sequencing, and with GeneDx, along with GeneDx whole genome sequencing. So this more or less like another risk for Bionano Genomics. Maybe a company is going to buy Bngo. Illumina is there, PacBio is there. We have Thermo Fisher, we have a lot of company that could buy Bngo at this current level. Okay, maybe that's going to be the way out for we retail investors. And maybe Bionano Genomics also is going to turn things around. Let's see how much they have managed to raise, if that money is going to be enough for them to run the business till, let's say, the end of next year, before we see massive adoption of the Sapphire device and also the Stratis device. Bionano Genomics is also working on launching a new device. It's going to be in the first quarter of next year, I believe. They are going to retire the Sapphire device, and I'm trying to see if I can see that breaking news from Stratis, or what is it they call the SEC filing. We have like 5 minutes before the market close. Let me see if I can quickly find the news release about the Stratis system. So here it is. Bionano announces the Stratis system for OGM and VIA software for hematologic malignancies. Now, VIA software is going to be replacing NS Clinical software, the one that they acquired with BioDiscovery. And the Stratis is going to be the next generation Sapphire device, which is going to have higher throughput. Okay, and right here, the Stratis instrument for optical genome mapping will enable a 4-fold increase in raw data generation rate compared to Sapphire device. So I think while this is good, this could also be somehow affecting the sales of the Sapphire device, because most of the time, for example, if you guys know that iPhone 15 is going to drop in the next 6 months, and you want to buy a new iPhone, why not wait till the next 6 months until the iPhone 15 is released? Okay, instead of you buying iPhone 14 right now and then losing, once iPhone 15 is out, then selling your iPhone 14 for cheaper or yada yada. So I think this could also backfire somehow, if you own a laboratory. But they are going to argue that this system is for customers that have higher volume, yada yada, because this is 13-fold over Sapphire device, yada yada. But I also think some laboratories out there could say, okay, why don't we just wait for the Stratis system to be out and see what's going to happen? How is it going to be? What the price is going to be? Yada yada from the Sapphire device. Or some laboratories could also be watching Bionano Genomics, share price, and how the company has been going down for over 2 years now, and they could be like, why should we put $150,000 to acquire a device from a company that is more or less dying a slow death? Okay, so that's also another negative thing. Okay, and yeah, let me quickly read the comments a little bit. What's your favorite Ruga song? Can 6. Oh, Ruga is a very good, it's a nice musician from Nigeria. No, my position. Okay, still holding $10,000 loss in my Robinhood on Bngo. Still have 190 shares at average cost of $27 due to RS. Sanchez, what's going on? Sanchez says that I should look at Pine stock. So guys, let me know what's your average. What are your averages with Bngo, so that I can at least do a quick technical analysis as well and see how we could get back to that price level. I mean, fundamentally, you guys already know more. You guys already know a lot about Bionano Genomics. Fundamentally, you already know what the the good, the bad, and the ugly is. Okay, some people are even saying that the CEO should resign. Okay, that it's going to help the company, because I made a poll on Twitter, I think 2 days ago, and this is the poll I made today. How many Sapphires do you think Bionano Genomics has managed to install in the second quarter? And most people are saying minus oh sorry, over 20, okay, greater than 20. So 43.6% says greater than 20. And then I made a poll that, you know, if the CEO of Bngo should step down or not, and about 90% says he should step down. And also the plan, you know, about 91% votes, 44% says hold. So I think most of you guys are still holding on to your shares, and you know, you're not giving up on Bngo. And so a new CEO, 89.6% says yes, 106 votes. So I don't know. I don't think Bionano Genomics is saying this, or you know, or institutional investors, or they even care about what I am doing on Twitter. Anyway, who am I? So yeah, the market is going to close in the next 1 minute. I got 130 shares now after RSI, $31 average, $31, $32, 22. So most of you guys have your averages above $20. 20. Okay. The market has closed. I'm going to refresh this page. And Bionano Genomics closed 3.2% today. But that doesn't really matter because, you know, earnings is going to drop any moment from now. And then we are going to listen to the earnings call, which of course is why most of us are here at the moment. So yeah. Now I'm going to go to the website and see if they have dropped news release. So I have to keep refreshing this page to see. Today is 9. Bionano Genomics announces reverse stock split. I just have to keep refreshing this page. I think in the next maximum in the next 5 minutes we should see the earnings, okay, the results for the second quarter. Now let's take a look at Bngo technical analysis. Okay, now most of you guys have your averages above $20. Take a look at that. This is the daily candlestick. Somewhere around here is when most of you guys, and I think this corresponds to when, okay, Bionano Genomics was trading around $20 in February. Okay, February last year, November. This is where Rich Shippey resigned. Somewhere around here, around $30 is when Rich Shippey resigned. I forgot, something happened when Bngo was trading around $20. I can't really remember. Back in February, something happened, and that was why the share price started to go down. I can't remember. Anyway, so we need the share price to rise to this level for most of you guys to break even. I believe some people would even they wouldn't mind if, you know, the share price rises, you know, rise above $10. If you add to your position, for example, from here, let's say the company has some kind of awesome news, you know. Yeah. Let me refresh this page to see if the earnings are in. All right, so we have the earnings. Bionano Genomics, check it out, guys. Bionano report second quarter 2023 results and highlights recent business progress. I'm going to reduce my camera a little bit so that we can have some space. Let me move it to the side. So now Q3 revenue was $8.7 million, which represents a 30% increase over Q2 2022. Installed base of Sapphire system totaled 281. Okay, 281 as of June 30th, 2023, which represents 43% in increase. Yada. Sold. Wow, I like this one. I like this. This is good. Nano channel array flow cells, 7,000, guys. that's a record. Okay, that's a record. By now, I want to refresh this page to see how the share price is reacting to this. $4.17. Okay, after hour 4.13. Anyway, let's continue. So they sold a record number of nano channel array flow cells, 7,062, okay, which represents a 108% increase over the number of flow cells sold in Q2 2022. This is very nice. This is very nice. So now let's go deep. I'm going to highlight this because last time they sold about 5,000. I'm going to go to my record and show you guys how many consumables they sold last time, because we have a record. So you guys can see flow cells. Okay, Q3 2022 they sold 3009. You guys can see Q4 2022 4007, and then Q1 2023 Bionano Genomics sold 5226 flow cells. So now they sold 7,000, okay, and 56. That's a record. That's a record number. I like it. Now let's continue. So Bionano Genomics, where is it? This is it. Installed base of Sapphire system total 281 at the end of, I think they are going to set a new record for the installed base of Sapphire device. So they installed 22 systems, okay, 22 systems. So you guys that said Bionano Genomics is going to install over 20, you were right. Where is it? So this poll right here, most people say that they are going to install over 20 Sapphire devices, which is what they did. Now over the first quarter of 2023, that represents 43% increase over the 196 installed system, yada yada. 7,662 nano channel array flow cells sold during the second quarter, which represents a 35% increase over the 5,226 flow cells sold during the first quarter of 2023, and represents an increase of 108% over the 3,000. You guys can see last year second quarter Bionano Genomics sold 3,394 flow cells, and a lot of people were worried, okay, I included. Like, if you are into a printing business and you are not selling the ink, it means nobody's using your printer. That is simply the meaning. So now announce the commercial release of new kits for the ionic purification system, yada yada. Announce the Strategy system for high throughput optical genome mapping, which will enable a 4-fold increase in raw data generation, yada. We know about that. Announced VIA software, which replaces NX clinical software with a simple and integrated workflow for visualization, interpretation, and yada yada. We also know about that already. Announced the 2023 winners of the Bionano Genomics Innovator Research Grant Program, yada yada. Bionano participated at key cytogenetic conferences, including the EHA 2023 Congress, yada yada. We know about that. And key studies that were published during Q2 outline support for OGM utility for cancer and genetic disease research. Okay, let's continue. So this one is from the CEO of Bionano Genomics. We are pleased. Look at that. This one is from the CEO. We are pleased with our Q2 2023 results, which include record revenues and consumable sales for any quarter in Bionano's history, the CEO says, and he continues. We continue to see growing momentum in our business, and we believe our recent and upcoming major product releases should help us further penetrate new markets and achieve our business goals. Okay, so I mean nothing is wrong with that. Now Q2 2023 financial highlights. Total revenue for the second quarter, $8.7 million. I'm still going to plot all this thing in my chart so that we can see how it's progressing. An increase of 30%. GAAP gross margin for the second quarter of 2023 was 27% compared to 22%. Okay, and then I'm still going to plot all this as well. Second quarter 2023 GAAP operating expenses was, look at that, oh my god, this is not good, guys. This is not good. $41.5 million spent in the second quarter of 2023. These people are just blowing money, literally burning money, compared to $33.6 million in the second quarter of 2022. Bionano Genomics is just, they're spending too much money. Second quarter 2023 non-GAAP operating expense was $34.6 million compared to 26, look at that, 0.3 million. This is almost 10 million difference, from 33 to $41 million. Second quarter 2023 non-GAAP operating expenses exclude $3.7 million in stock-based compensation. Now look at that. Cash equivalents and available for sale securities were $77.1 million. $77.1 million, guys. as of June 30th, 2023, compared to cash equivalent, and available for sale securities of $95.8 million as of March 31st, 2023. Now, I'm going to try and refresh this page, then we are going to continue. Okay. Okay. So now, Bionano Genomics, they spent $41.5 million in Q2, and now they have $77.1 million left. And that cash is not even enough to run the business for 2 quarters. Like, according to my prediction, okay, now I'm going to plot everything into the graph so that we can, at least see what is going on for $1.5 million gap operating expense. Oh man, they have $77 million left. How is that supposed to, operating income Q2? How can they run their business till the end of the year with such amount of money? Q1 2023, Q1 20, where is it? Bionano. So Q1, Q2, second quarter of 2023, second quarter in the second quarter, compared to 33 in the second quarter of 2022, yada yada. I have to do that later, guys. So $8.7 million in total revenue, $8.7 million in revenue, 8.7 in total revenue. So you guys can see, I already, according to my most recent video where I was, reviewing the Q2 earnings, I predicted that the revenue is going to come in higher than Q4, because most of the time the second quarter is always higher than Q4. Okay, if you take a look at this, second quarter 2022 was also higher than Q4. So I think the third quarter is going to be higher than the second quarter. I think it's going to come in like maybe 9 million or 9 point something million okay, in the third quarter. Then the fourth quarter is always the highest. Okay, maybe they are going to bring in like 10 point something million in the fourth quarter. Okay, but the question is, how is Bionano Genomics going to survive, okay, if they are literally running out of money? Okay, if they have cash and cash equivalent of $77 million left, okay, compared to Q1, compared to $95.8 million in Q1, 95.8. So you guys can see the trajectory. Okay, they used to have, how much is this? 39. They used to, Bionano Genomics used to have like, look at that, $362 million back in 2021. Here it is, 2021. Okay, 360 something. Look at that, Q1 2021 they had 362. Then it's started to go down and down and down, and now they are left with $77 million. So Bngo is either going to be diluting shares. Whenever you see a rally, they have to go to the market and raise some money, or maybe they are going to go to the bank and take on debt. Okay, because right now they are debt free. Bionano Genomics, they don't have any loan, nothing like that. So, or they just have to keep raising money by diluting shares. So I think it's just this, or somebody's just going to acquire Bionano Genomics. This is my biggest worry about Bngo. Okay, I'm going to put this 2023 Q2 2023. So installed base, let's talk about the installed base of the Sapphire device. Installed base is now where is it? 281. Okay, I'm going to plot everything so we can at least see where we are heading where we are headed. So it used to be 259, now it is 281. Flow sales 5,000, now 7,000. Revenue 7.5, now 8.7. I mean, when I found this company, okay, I was expecting Bngo to kind of set some kind of parabolic, trajectory. You guys can see this doesn't look like parabolic. This looks like something that is going to take literally ages, okay, before they can get to, where I was, dreaming. 2023, look at that, this is 2024, 25, 26, 27. BNG is not going to meet up with all this target that I set back in 2020, guys. Anyway, now we're going to wait for the CEO to tell us what's up with the business, why he has burnt like 40 million US dollars in the second quarter, 41.5 million US dollars in the second quarter, and how he plans to turn the business around before our position starts to hit the stop loss, before we start to receive margin call. This is crazy. It's insane, guys. Now, the only positive thing I see there is the number of flow sale. Okay, the number of flow sales, 7,000 flow sales. That's very nice number. And as you guys can see, this stock is not even reacting negatively. Of course, we still have to wait for the market to open tomorrow and see where the market is going to open, how investors are going to react to it. I think most people are just at this moment waiting for the CEO to come and tell us what's gonna happen next. And yeah, then like Apple, like Amazon, when Apple reported their earnings, the stock was a little bit positive. Then after the earnings call, it's turned on negative. So most people are just looking for forward guidance to see what the company plans, okay, in the next couple of quarter, yada yada. So yeah. Bionano Genomics report, yeah, we've already went through everything. Now I want to take a look at the numbers down there. You need to go down. So here you have it, June 30th, 2023, cash available, cash and cash equivalent, current assets, okay, 271, total assets 271, accounts, yeah, the operating liability, common stock, preferred. Nothing much to talk about here, guys. We have like 16 minutes left, so I'm going to go through the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about this, please. What do you think about this? Do you think this is positive, negative, or neutral? What do you guys think about this? So no path to recovery there. Pathetic CEO Gary. 1 to 10 split. We are all members of a captive audience. I got all mine before the big rally back in the day. All of the dollar they have managed to hemorrhage over the last 2 years belongs to all of us investors. Yeah, it's horrible. It's just bad. This is bad. I don't even have anything to say. Now, if you go on Twitter, Cisco investor has gone crazy. Okay, this guy is literally attacking. Cisco is Cisco. Cisco is literally attacking the CEO of Bionano Genomics on a daily basis. Guys. So look at Bngo. It's got so much worse in my opinion. Look at that. He said Bngo, it is going to get much worse in my opinion, since Eric still has 49 million shares to issue by tapping the ATM. So that of course is the problem. The 31 million current shares then becomes 80 million. Fire Eric, pay the company package, and be done. I mean, let's say they even fire Eric, or let's say Eric resigns. Okay, who is going to take over Bionano Genomics? Is it going to be the chief operating officer? Okay, Mr. Mark Odakovsky, or is it going to be Dr. Alka Shalbe, the chief medical officer? Who is going to take over? Who is going to be the CEO of Bionano Genomics? My suggestion was, to just put, Dr. Shams, somebody that, used to run a profitable company, Discovery, before Bionano Genomics acquired it and literally turned everything upside down. So we have about 12 minutes left before the earnings call. Now, Cisco investors said again on the 8th of August, Eric, time is running out faster than expected. Wish you didn't blow the wad. Focused on clinical. Your boy at PacBio is itching closer to clinicals. He can only deny so much that OGM and PacBio aren't in the same market. Blood in the water. Cisco investor is complete. Look at that. Look at this video, guys. This is super funny.
Say that maybe we should do something about it, but there's nothing we can do.
Stage 4, we say maybe there was something we could have done, but it's too late.
But stage 1, we say nothing is going to happen.
Stage 2, we say something may be going to happen, but we should have done about it.
In stage 3, we say that maybe we should do something about it, but there's nothing we can do.
Stage 4, we say maybe there was something we could have done, but it's too late.
This is insane. Bngo, you must watch. I have a feeling this is the combo between Baka. Baka is the chairman of board of directors, and this guy is one of the reasons why Bionano Genomics was able to perform 1 for 10 reverse stock split. And I think this guy and the CEO of Bionano Genomics are, you know, working hand in hand, you know, enriching their pockets, making a lot of money, while retail investors literally bleeds, guys. Horrible. I still have hope, whether it be buyout or mass adoption. I have nothing but time to wait, so I will do my best to dollar cost average from that 19 average cost. Emmanuel. Now, Bionano Genomics, before we dive into, you know, before they start the earnings call, once again, let me take a look at the let me see what I can do in terms of, you know, technical analysis. All my chart has been ruined. Look at that. All these things that I said when before the stock was splitted. So Bionano Genomics, guys, I'm not going to, you know, buy any dip of BNGO until I spot some kind of, you know, breakout or, you know, a positive fundamental news. Okay, I don't think I'm going to be, you know, dollar cost averaging, because cheap can get cheaper, guys. I already shared a company that, you know, performed the reverse stock split with you guys, but unfortunately after they performed, you know, the split, the stock price kept going lower. It even went back, you know, below $1. Just imagine if Bionano Genomics cannot put their things together, the share price could even drop below $1, which means we are back to square one, and then they have to perform another reverse stock split. So you guys have to be very, very careful. Okay, if we have a strong fundamental news, BNGO could just be trading below $5, or they could, you know, from $4 it could rally to $5 and then come back down, or it could even come to somewhere around I think I need to move this to the other side. Let me move this one here. So it could rally, okay, to this $5.6 and then, you know, come back down. You guys can see the trend line right there. So you just have to be careful. We have to wait for a solid news. You know, we have to wait for something that, you know, something that is going to get me hyped once again. 2 years ago, I was always hyped. Okay, whenever I'm making video about BNGO, I'm always full of energy. But right now, I just don't see that, you know, energy right now. I don't feel any, you know, I don't feel pumped, you know, like I used to. So we just have to wait for a massive news and see what's gonna happen. And I don't, you know, I'm not gonna short BNGO. It's too late. If you want to short this stock, it's completely too late. You could have been shorting it, you know, way back when it was, you know, trading somewhere around here, 70 something cents back then, you know, which is going to be $7, $8. You could ride it down to this level and then, you know, sell your close your short, take profit and put it back, and you know, try to ride it back to, you know, $5 point something, and then take profit and wait for some kind of breakout. So I don't advise anybody to short, you know, the stock, because, you know, some people are, you know, posting on Twitter, yada yada, that, you know, they are shorting BNGO, but I am not shorting BNGO. You guys shouldn't think I'm shorting BNGO. I'm not shorting BNGO, because, you know, it's too cheap, okay, and very risky. We could even see some kind of, you know, a company could just come at any moment and try to acquire Bionano Genomics. So I wouldn't short it at this price. Okay, we could see a short squeeze. You never can tell. Sometimes the market is just completely crazy. Okay, so you guys have to be careful. We have 7 minutes left, so I wouldn't advise, I'm not advising anybody to short BNGO. It's too risky. Instead, just hold on to your position. If you know you don't want to close it, hold on to your position and pray for some kind of miracle. Now another thing is this, okay, this consolidation around below 5 years dollars or above 4 years dollars could last for months. Okay, if you take a look at Bionano Genomics, this is the history. Okay, today it's closed at 4.15 US dollars, which of course is equivalent to somewhere around here, right? Somewhere around here. So you guys can see back in 2020, BNGO was trading around this level, went to 10 US dollars and then came back down to 5 US dollars, and then you guys can see the consolidation. It's lasted over 12 months. So if you want to hold on to your shares of the company, you just have to be ready to hold it for another 12 months or more. It could just be at this level for months, okay, till maybe the ending of next year, because right now I think investors are kind of skeptic because the company has 77 million US dollars left in cash, which is very risky. Okay, we want BNGO to come out and tell us they have, like, if they are spending 40 million US dollars every quarter, even 77 million US dollars is not enough for the company to run their business till the end of next year. First quarter next year, they are going to run out of money. So now they have money for just literally one and a half quarter. So they could run out of money even in December this year. Okay, you just have to be very careful. We need them to come out and say that they have raised some money, or they raised some money, yada yada, and to kind of give investors some kind of confidence that at least this company is not going to going under the water in the next couple of months. If we see BNGO coming out with cash and cash equivalent of over 200 million US dollars, for example, then this is good. So you guys have to be careful. It's still very risky. They could just perform some kind of share offering, and then the share price is going to drop to 2 US dollars. You guys have to be careful. Even if you want to dollar cost average, I wouldn't dollar cost average. I wouldn't short the the stock of the company at this price, at this level. Don't dollar cost average right now. Do not short also. If you think you want to dollar cost average, and then next week the company comes out and say they are going to raise, like, 100 million US dollars because they are literally running out of money, then the share price is going to go below 4 US dollars. We are going to be seeing like maybe 3 US dollars or even lower than that. So you have to be careful. And since you guys are with me, I have, like, a couple of you guys. I am watching BNGO, like I have been saying. I'm watching them to see what they're going to doing. What's what you have to, the most thing you have to be watching at this right now is the cash at hand. Okay, if they manage to raise some money that can help the business to last for the next couple of maybe 4 to 5 quarters, then you can dollar cost average. If not, don't dollar cost average. Don't dollar cost average. And I was kind of sharing my opinion with my patrons. Okay, back then it was like 1 year allowed to become a patron. I told them what I was doing in the beginning of this year. I told them I wasn't going to buy. I wouldn't buy. I told them I would take half loss and keep the remaining half, and most of them did it. And luckily now at least their pain has their pain is reduced. Okay, back in January, BNGO was trading around here, around 20 US dollars. Okay, I started to tell my patrons when it was trading above 20 US dollars, around 25 US dollars. That was when I started to tell them I'm not buying anymore. I wouldn't buy. I wouldn't dollar cost average. I would just close half of my position, close my eyes, close half of it, take 50% loss, and let the remaining run, or just close everything and put the money in some stocks that were rallying. Okay, I mean, my portfolio is up over 500% year to date because I put my money elsewhere. Okay, I took my money out of BNGO and put it elsewhere. So that was the example I gave them back in January, February. I told them to put their money in another stock. We have a lot of stocks that have rallied massively, guys. We have even the popular stocks, okay, the popular funds. We have we have Meta, we have we have Apple, we have Nvidia, we have AI, C3.ai, we have Tesla that went down to $100 back in December last year. Most of us jumped in. I bought Tesla at $111. I rode it all the way to almost $300 last when they announced their earning. That was ending of last month. We had a lot of stocks that were about to rally in January, February, March, and I was screaming to everybody, literally, even on Twitter, and most people were attacking me that I was kind of over advertising my Patreon, yada yada. But all right, I think any moment from now, BNJ is going to be, we have a minute left, 1 minute left, guys. With submission, we have 1 minute left. So, 1 minute. I'm going to refresh it once again. Any moment from now, Bionano Genomics is going to be. Please smash the like button, okay, and help me to share this video on social media. After the earnings call, I'm going to be sharing more with you guys about Bionano Genomics, what I'm doing, some stocks that I think I'll talk a little bit about some. Maybe I'm going to give you guys 1 or 2 stocks, okay? Some stocks that I give my patrons. Because the market right now is just, if you take a look at the stock market map, market went a little bit down today. Oh, okay, we are live. Ooh. Okay.
Call. Leading the call today is Dr. Eric Holman, CEO of Bionano. He's joined by Chris Stewart, CFO of Bionano. After market close today, Bionano issued a press release announcing its financial results for the second quarter of 2023. A copy of the release can be found on the investor relations page of the company's website. I would like to remind everyone that certain statements made during the conference call may be forward-looking, including statements about Bionano's annual and quarterly revenue outlook, strategic and commercialization plans, anticipated benefits or improvements to Bionano's products, including the Sapphire system, NX Clinical Software or VIA, Sapphire Compute, and the timings for release of such products and impacts of such products, anticipated milestones for 2023, the advantages of the Sapphire system over current technologies, Bionano's anticipated benefits and the timing of those benefits from its announced reduction in force and other cost savings initiatives, the anticipated effects and benefits of Bionano's recent reverse stock split and associated increase in authorized shares available for issuance, achievement of publicly announced 2023 Elevate anticipated milestones, advances in obtaining reimbursement of OGM, and Bionano's expectations regarding study results and publications and anticipated benefits of these studies and publications in driving adoption of OGM. Such forward-looking statements are based upon current expectations, and there can be no assurances that the results contemplated in these statements will be realized. Actual results may differ materially from such statements due to a number of factors and risks, some of which are identified in Bionano's press release and Bionano's reported filed with the SEC. These forward-looking statements are on information available to Bionano today, and the company assumes no obligation to update statements as circumstances change. In addition, to supplement Bionano's financial results reported in accordance with U.S. Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, or GAAP, the company is reporting non-GAAP operating expense and non-GAAP gross margin. These non-GAAP financial measures are not meant to be considered in isolation or as a substitute for comparable GAAP measures, should be read in conjunction with the company's consolidated financial statements prepared in accordance with GAAP, have no standardized meaning prescribed by GAAP, and are not prepared under the comprehensive set of accounting rules or principles. A description of both non-GAAP operating expense and non-GAAP gross margin and reconciliations of non-GAAP operating expense to GAAP operating expense and non-GAAP gross margin to GAAP gross margin are included at the end of the company's press release issued earlier today, which has been posted on the Investor Relations page of the company's website. An audio recording and webcast replay for today's conference call will be available online on the company's Investor Relations page. And with that, I will turn the call over to Eric.
Great. Thank you, David, and good afternoon, everyone. We are very pleased to provide a full report on our Q2 results as well as the business overall. We've had a great second quarter with overall global support for optical genome mapping, or OGM, on the rise, including important steps forward like recent approvals from the Israel Ministry of Health for the use of optical genome mapping in blood cancer research and OGM reimbursement for heme malignancies in the Ontario province in Canada. We've had several transformational product releases this quarter, and more are expected in the second half of the year, and we believe that these products will act as accelerants for our growth and start to bring new customers in from the sidelines who have been waiting on these products, which will catalyze our entry into new segments of the market like the high volume segment. I think as everybody is aware, we also effected a 1-for-10 reverse split of the company's common stock. This step is a part of a process of elevating Bionano's stock price, which we believe will make it more attractive to institutional investors and will enable us to restore compliance with NASDAQ's listing requirements. I want to thank the stockholders for their support of this initiative. This step was an important one that we believe will provide us with flexibility as we look to extend our cash runway through the management of our expenses, consistent with the initiative we announced in May of this year, and providing us with more choices as we consider future financing options. We will now move forward and let the performance of the business speak for itself. For the business update, revenue for the quarter was $8.7 million, which exceeded our guidance and represented a 30% year-over-year increase compared to the same period of 2022. The Sapphire installed base grew by 22 systems to 281 during the second quarter of 2023, which represents 43% growth over the same period last year. Something that stood out in the quarter was the consumables volume. There were 7,062 flow cells sold in the second quarter of 2023, and that represents a 108% year-over-year increase compared to the second quarter of 2022. We announced two important products that we have been investing in and developing for some time now. We believe they will play a significant role in accelerating the adoption of OGM on a global basis, and in particularly for labs that run medium to high volumes of samples. The first is Stratus. Stratus is a powerful new mapping system designed to provide 4 times the throughput of Sapphire when it's first released, and we expect that to increase. 10 Stratus systems that will be in the field as part of an early access program over the course of the second half of 2023, and will ramp to full-scale commercial availability in the first quarter of 2024. The second product is VIA, which stands for Variant Intelligence Applications. VIA replaces NX Clinical by including optical genome mapping data alongside next-generation sequencing data and microarray data, and now includes a powerful workflow for heme malignancies. VIA addresses serious bottlenecks in the application of optical genome mapping to various applications in hematologic malignancies with a simple and integrated workflow that drives visualization and interpretation and reporting across multiple data types, including optical genome mapping, microarray, and next-generation sequencing. We also released new kits for the ionic purification system, which feature new chemistry for nucleic acid extraction from FFPE and tumor tissue. Now, these kits are designed to provide samples that will be sequenced, and we are still working on developing the optical genome mapping compatible kits for ionic, and we expect to have those in the field later this year. This quarter was a tremendous quarter also for publications on OGM applications in human clinical research. There were 32 publications validating the utility of optical genome mapping for applications in clinical cytogenetics research. We also submitted the second constitutional postnatal study manuscript that is developed through our clinical trials for peer review, and we expect that to be published soon. Overall, publications featuring optical genome mapping are up 57% year over year. Finally, we announced the 2023 winners of the Bionano Innovator Research Program, which we established to fuel novel research using optical genome mapping. The three winners from Stanford University, Hospitals for Sick Children in Toronto, and Duke University will receive a Sapphire system and optical genome mapping reagents to continue their projects, which we believe will open new areas of utility for optical genome mapping and be a big part of driving future adoption and growth. Before discussing key milestones for the remainder of the year, I'd like to turn the call over to Chris Stewart, our CFO, for an overview of the second quarter financials. Chris?
Thanks, Eric. Diving a little deeper into the numbers, revenue in the second quarter of 2023 was $8.7 million, reflecting an increase of $2 million or 30% over the second quarter of 2022, and exceeding our prior guidance of $7.8 to $8.3 million for the quarter, due mainly to increased demand for OGM instruments and consumables. GAAP gross margin for the second quarter came in at 27% compared to 22% in Q2 of 2022, and non-GAAP gross margin was 29% compared again to 22% in the second quarter of 2022. Second quarter 2023 non-GAAP gross margin excludes $200,000 in stock-based compensation. Second quarter 2023 GAAP operating expense was $41.5 million compared to $33.6 million in the second quarter of 2022. Non-GAAP operating expense was $34.6 million compared to $26.3 million in the second quarter of 2022. The increase was mainly driven by increases to headcount, R&D expense related to our upcoming product launches, and marketing expense. While we have implemented cost savings initiatives, including a reduction in headcount that we expect to save approximately $20 million as we discussed on our Q1 call, we expect to start to see the effect of those initiatives in our operating expenses in the second half of this year and going forward into the first half of 2024. Second quarter 2023 non-GAAP operating expense excludes $3.7 million in stock-based compensation, $1.8 million in amortization of intangibles, and $1.4 million increase in the estimated fair value of contingent consideration, primarily related to our acquisition of Purigen. Our cash equivalents, and available for sale securities as of June 30th, 2023 was $77.1 million. We have been and will continue to be proactive in identifying the best path to raising the capital we need. In Q2, we raised net proceeds of approximately $17.8 million on our ATM facility, selling 25.5 million shares at an average price of 72 cents per share, which on a split-adjusted basis is 2.5 million shares at an average price of $7.15 per share. This capital is useful as it offsets a portion of our cash burn and extends our runway. We are maintaining our full year 2023 revenue guidance in the range of $35 to 38 million, and we expect Q3 revenue to be in the range of $8.8 to 9.2 million. Now, I'll turn it back to Eric to wrap up. Eric?
Thank you, Chris. I want to look ahead at strategic milestones that we've outlined for the second half of 2023. We remain on track to meet our goal of installing 325 Saphyr systems by the end of 2023. And we are pleased to share that Bionano Laboratories recently received its CAP accreditation, which validates the strict quality control standards for our lab and opens the door for collaboration with companies like pharmaceutical companies that require this level of quality system. We also completed enrollment of our prenatal study, which is on track and progressing successfully. We have a few major product advances planned that we believe are keys to continuing and potentially accelerating revenue growth and adoption. The first product, which will initially be available to select customers in the field with full release in 2024, is the Ionic system, which will be compatible with isolation of ultra-high molecular weight DNA for OGM, offering an automated protocol using isotachophoresis, and that will clear a significant bottleneck in the current workflow. The second is the high-throughput Saphyr compute to go with the Stratus system, which is high throughput itself. It's been developed in collaboration with NVIDIA. And finally, we will release a version of VIA software that will include an analytical workflow for constitutional genetic disorders. Continuing in 2023, we will focus on advancing our clinical studies in support of changing medical practice and clearing the path for reimbursement of OGM through clinical research and seeking FDA clearance to market optical genome mapping with clinical use claims. Overall, bringing a focus on cost controls together with commercial execution, data generation, further evidence development, and growing publications through our Elevate strategy, we believe we can succeed in delivering innovative genome analysis solutions to our customers while containing sustainable long-term value for stockholders. With that, Michelle, we are ready to take questions.
Thank you. If you have a question, please press star 11 on your telephone and wait for your name to be announced. To withdraw your question, please press star 11 again. One moment while we compile our Q&A roster. Our first question is going to come from the line of Jason McCarthy with Maxim Group. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking the questions. Eric, I want to get right to it from a financial aspect. Can you talk a little bit about the cost saving measures or kind of business streamlining that you're expecting? Chris had mentioned that it should be taking effect relatively soon, and combined with the cash balance and any use of the ATM in the current quarter, and where that cash runway gets you.
Thanks, Jason. Let me talk a little bit about the initiatives overall, and I'll ask Chris Stewart to comment on the cash and cash runway. But I think that the company is certainly aware of some of the shifts in the capital markets environment towards the focus on cash burn, cash runway, and certainly emphasizing the need for companies to be more cash conservative. And as a result, we implemented a series of cost reductions and cost savings programs in May, and we expect those to play out over the future 5 quarters, including Q3, starting with Q3, and that will save us about $20 million. But we see that as basically a beginning. We have to operate much more carefully and strive to extend the cash runway as much as possible, and remain opportunistic about sources of financing, including equity financing, but also non-dilutive financing options as well. And so we're actively evaluating those and pursuing them. I'll let Chris talk about where the $77 million on the balance sheet as of the end of Q2 and any additional financing activity so far in Q3, where that takes us. Chris?
Sure, yeah. As Eric said, we ended Q2 with $77 million in cash. During Q3, we continued to leverage the ATM, which is a great asset for us. Our trading volume allows us to participate and raise money without any discount through the ATM. In Q3 so far, we've raised just shy of $13 million, about $12.7 million, and that gives us runway, well into Q2 of 2024. So we're leveraging the ATM. We intend to know we need to raise additional capital, but the ATM is giving us some flexibility in terms of choosing our window and the timing of that raise.
Got it. And Eric, maybe you could talk a little bit about how the company remains committed and on track with its timelines from a development and commercial strategy that was outlined at your Investor Day over the winter. I think it was earlier this year.
Yeah, in February. Sure. I think that we've been these product releases, which were announced this quarter, VIA and Stratus, are major milestones for the company because we're introducing new capabilities for optical genome mapping in the market that open the capacity of optical genome mapping for high volume analysis. And that's really the key. I think that the consumable is the highest margin component of the OGM workflow, and so being able to enable labs to run higher volumes of it is financially beneficial, both on the top line and certainly supportive of the cash runway. And so these product launches we announced were very important. Looking ahead, when we look at the capabilities for isolating ultra-high molecular weight using isotachophoresis, which is the proprietary technology we acquired through Purigen, and that team is developing, so we'll run on the Ionic system. That's another key component of opening up the workflow for OGM to higher volumes and greater levels of utilization. And so we expect to have something in the field running in customer sites towards the end of this year and be commercializing it early next year. And again, the reason that's important is that what we see is that labs are developing assays for optical genome mapping in their labs, and they're building full menus. And so the capacity that they need is increasing, and we're happy to be able to support it with the tools and technology. And so we remain on track for these milestones. And what we see is that the growth that we're experiencing has the potential to even accelerate as these new capabilities are online. Similarly, the publications, the clinical trials are progressing, and this wave of publications that's starting to come out is what's really going to make these other barriers to adoption, such as reimbursement, really come down.
Great. Thank you, fellas.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you. And one moment for our next question. Our next question is going to come from the line of Mark Massaro with BTIG. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hey, guys. Thank you very much for the questions. Congrats on a strong quarter. I would love to ask about how the Stratus is going. Now, I believe you guys soft launched it. I'm curious if you have initiated the full rollout yet. Can you share any initial feedback and perhaps how many Stratus systems have gone out? And I would also be curious to know if you expect any near-term change in flow cells as a result of it.
Thanks, Mark. And what I would say is that the response to Stratus is very positive and in many respects is validating our expectation that the market was seeking something which was capable of a higher throughput. And I think we can say that it also, the response is exceeding our expectations, that it's very enthusiastic. What we are doing in this initial period, which is between roughly now through the end of the year, is getting about 10 systems into the market. And the reason that it's around 10 is that there's a bit of a supply constraint, so we'll be ramping manufacturing up during this second half of the year. And what I can tell you is that immediately upon announcement, almost all of the 10 were spoken for, and so we don't see any problem in having those come online, and we expect to have a waiting list as the year progresses. And so we're super enthusiastic about it. And the other thing I want to point out is that the demand is global. So we're seeing European sites, North American sites in the United States and Canada, as well as China, all reaching for Stratus. With regard to the second part of your question, whether we expect that to have kind of a meaningful impact on flow cells, I think that the patterns that we're seeing so far will continue to repeat. So I wouldn't expect that curve to accelerate upwards yet, only because it's a few systems getting into the field, and a laboratory brings the system in and takes it through an evaluation and validation process, which is relatively limited in terms of its volume. But we do in the next few quarters expect flow cells sold to increase as a result of labs having a higher capacity, and that will play out over the remaining quarters in the future.
That's great. My second question is, the flow cell number really exceeded our expectations, and obviously triple-digit growth year over year, but the 35% sequential is quite surprising. Maybe do you have visibility as to what these flow cells are being used on, like which projects, and are there any particular disease state areas that you could call out?
Yes. So first of all, I want to sort of acknowledge and validate that was a very strong quarter, and we've got to be mindful that there can be peaks and maybe lower peaks, high peaks and lower peaks as this growth curve unfolds. But an outstanding quarter based on optical genome mapping demand on a global basis, and we expect it to generally continue at this rate or similar. With regard to visibility into utilization, we don't have perfect visibility. Somewhere around 25 to 30% of our business is in pharma, and we know that those applications are generally cell and gene therapy, where they're using optical genome mapping as an alternative to karyotyping for analysis of target effects, looking for off-target effects in gene editing, and also for assessing genome integrity in cell therapy and manufacturing of batches of cells, therapeutic cells. But we don't know in detail what they're doing. But when we look across the cytogenetics labs that are adopting, I would say that utilization is probably 2 to 1 in favor of blood cancers, so leukemias, lymphomas, ALL, CLL, AML, ALL, and the list of critical hematologic malignancies where the traditional methods that are used include karyotyping, fluorescence in situ hybridization, some arrays, to look at large structural rearrangements. And what all of these labs tell us is that they use next-generation sequencing to look at sequence variants, but no sequencing method comes close to optical genome mapping for looking at these large events. And when they put it to work in their labs, they find that somewhere in the neighborhood of 20% or so of research subjects that would be evaluated, for example, by looking at their risk, prognostic risk score, that it's somewhere around 20% of those research subjects have their prognostic risk reclassified when optical genome mapping is used. And so that's why we see so much utilization in hematologic malignancies.
Excellent. Last question for me. I know earlier this year you withdrew your Category 1 CPT code application in order to kind of pursue an LCD from Palmetto MolDX. I'd just be curious if you've had a chance since our last call, that if you've had any interactions with Palmetto, if you have any sense for timing. And my thinking is maybe year-end 24 at the earliest, but I would just be curious if you have any updates there.
Sure. I think that process is definitely progressing, and it's really a nationwide program working with multiple of the MACs, but just because of the significant role that MolDX and Palmetto play, they're kind of the tip in the spear. And so we're interacting with them frequently, and we'll have some more formal discussions with them later in the year. And I would say that we're enthusiastic about the prospects for getting these determinations in place, but it's probably a little bit early to peg the timing. But your expectation is in line with what is kind of just the timeline for these types of projects. I also want to say that there is quite a bit of progress happening around labs getting reimbursement codes, and we're aware of other labs that are now talking about going after the Category 1 CPT code. And it's generally believed to be a simpler process for a lab to seek the Category 1 code than a manufacturer, because the labs really know the volumes, utilization, and so that process continues, and we remain bullish about there being a Category 1 CPT code covering optical genome mapping, and we're excited to see all the progress that individual labs are getting. And we know several labs that have PLA codes, and they're being routinely reimbursed for optical genome mapping assays.
Thank you. And one moment for our next question. Our next question is going to come from the line of Sung Ji Nam with Scotiabank. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking the questions. Just one quick housekeeping, if you will, question for you guys. Could you remind us again kind of your exposure to the biopharma end market and also in China? Obviously those two are kind of have been significant headwinds for your larger peers this quarter. So just kind of curious what you guys are seeing. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. And, we have certainly seen certain projects in cell and gene therapy being impacted by programs that are slowing down. And so it's something that we're mindful of, but, we reiterate our guidance for the full year, and our exposure to these projects, I don't want to say it's limited because we have good adoption by pharma now and biotech, but what we see is that these are really critical high-value projects that tend to get the investment needed to advance them. And optical genome mapping is really being used as a better alternative to work that they would be doing anyhow. So I think that we have some insulation there. With regard to China, again, China has made important contributions to the progress that we've made so far this year and was also important last year. And the applications of optical genome mapping that we're seeing in China are related to uses for the same sorts of applications in the United States, namely hematologic malignancies, leukemias and lymphomas, and genetic diseases. Within genetic diseases, the focus in China is very strongly on maternal fetal medicine and fertility applications, and those markets are very strong. I think where some of the headwinds are coming in China are more related to basic research, and we're more in the applied translational research side of it, and certainly commercial services that are being provided. And so that's been strong for us, and the degree to which China is factored into the guidance that we put out this year, we're reiterating that guidance of $35 to $38 million for the full year.
Thank you. And one moment for our next question. Our next question comes from the line of Francois Brisebois with Oppenheimer. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Dan on for Frank. Congrats on the progress this quarter, and thanks for taking our questions. Firstly, could you talk about the criteria you're using in choosing these early sites where the 10 Stratus systems would be deployed? Wondering what the criteria are there. Any color?
Yeah, sure. The focus is really on selecting sites which will benefit from the higher throughput that the Stratus systems offer, and I think that that's kind of the primary focus. And then we certainly want to see them working in areas like hematologic malignancies and genetic diseases, as opposed to basic research applications. And so that's where we're seeing the interest in the demand, and that's who the product has been designed for.
Great. Thanks for that. And a quick one from me. With regard to the strength of the peer-reviewed publication so far across indications, do you feel like you're getting closer to reaching that critical mass of data to start conversations with guideline bodies to make OGM first tier?
Yes, we are. And I mean, we're going to start to see, what I would call consensus statements coming out into the field, where groups of thought leaders have come together, evaluated existing published research, discussed it within groups, international groups, international consortium, and they're going to start writing these consensus statements which really make preliminary recommendations, and then guidelines agencies will see those and begin their own evaluation and development of their own consensus statements. And what I know is that these efforts are underway and have been making great progress. We still have some time before we see those consensus statements out in print, but they're coming. I would say that the work is done. So your point about the peer-reviewed publications to date, very, very good progress, which has gotten a lot of data out and is enabling these statements to be put together. And so, I think we're making great progress, and I'm very happy with everything that has unfolded, and we're starting really to turn the page towards, in addition to data generation and publication, there's a synthesis of these consensus statements, which is the next key step. The other thing is that the consortia that have come together to evaluate these data include members of key guideline-setting agencies, right? So there's already involvement from these key agencies, and so the progress is outstanding, and it will continue. Having said that, we still have enrollment goals in our hematologic malignancy trial, and we want to meet those goals this year and continue that progress and continue publishing those data.
Great, thanks for the color there. And a final one from me. Are you still expecting to have the dossier submitted for OGM coverage to Medicare in the second half?
Yes, that's part of what Mark Massaro was asking about, our applications and work around local coverage determinations, and we're progressing and on track for that.
Great. Thanks for taking my questions, and congrats again.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. And as a reminder, if you have a question at this time, please press star 11 on your telephone. Our next question comes from the line of Michael Okunewitch with Maxim Group. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hey, Eric. Thank you for taking my questions, and congratulations on the progress this quarter.
Thanks, Michael.
So I guess to start off, I'd just like to follow up on Dan's question and see if you could talk a little bit about the nature of Stratus customers. Are you expecting Stratus to appeal to customers who already use OGM, the Sapphires, or would you anticipate that this appeals to accounts OGM but have avoided it because Sapphire doesn't meet their needs in terms of throughput?
So I do expect there to be, that's kind of a yes and a yes, but I really do want to emphasize the higher volume users who, in some cases, already do have a Sapphire, but it's for kind of evaluation as they really intend to bring the higher volume system on site. Sapphire will continue to be available in the field, and I think represent a key kind of like entry-level OGM platform that sites can use for low to medium volumes and get outstanding, incredible results and really transform their workflows. And Stratus just increases the capabilities, by several fold. And so what we see already is that labs that are coming on board and raising their hand are labs that are running, literally thousands of samples per year. And, that's the kind of business that I think we want to really see driving adoption and utilization of OGM. And it simply wouldn't be really practical to have that many Sapphire systems installed in a lab. So Stratus is bridging that gap, and it's bringing in folks who have been following all the progress, the advancement around the data that's in the field and the proof and saying, well, we want to have these value propositions playing out for our community, and the only way to do that is to be able to offer something that's higher volume. And so that's really our principal target, and that's, of course, who we see bringing the system on board.
All right, thank you for that. And I'd like to follow up just on what steps you really need to take in order to bring status to that 13-fold data generation rate that you're targeting.
Well, to get there, it's a system and it's modular, right? So customers will be able to adopt Stratus, which is about a 4-fold increase in throughput over what the Sapphire workflow delivers. And there are other ways, it's sort of a trade-off between what is the bottleneck. Is it DNA isolation? Well, we're going to automate that with ITP on Ionic, right? So, which sort of platform is the bottleneck in the system? But the degree to which somebody adopts Stratus, they're going to get about a 4-fold increase in at least their data generation throughput. And our strategy to really increase their capabilities is to leverage mechanical systems that allow you to link multiple instruments together and have them operate modularly so that the collective number of systems increases throughput. And what's exciting about that is that the development that we need to do is really in working on the robotic system, not on the instrument. So the instrument is developed, and I'm sure we'll continue to upgrade components to drive the manufacturing costs down over time. We've done that with Sapphire to enhance throughput by bringing in new components over time. But we don't have a lot of real invention required to achieve these higher levels of throughput. It's really a mechanical process of integrating multiple systems together using mechanical robotic systems. And so we see that as being relatively low risk and critical for continuing to enable the growth of optical genome mapping utilization.
All right, thank you. One more from me, and I'll hop back into the queue. I'd like to see if you could talk a little bit about the complexity of applying VIA to different applications. As in, how does a workflow differ for something like hemes versus genetic disease when talking about the VIA software?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I think at some level, VIA is generic in that it can really be applied to any analysis of any genome variant. And what's so exciting and powerful about it is that extends from sequence variants, single nucleotide variants that would be detected by NGS, all the way up through large chromosomal rearrangements and structural variants that only optical genome mapping is reliable at picking up. And so why is it that these releases are application specific? That comes into the interpretation. So if you detect a variant, what do you do with it? VIA, through its intelligence applications, allows you to, in an automated fashion, query the available data on that particular variant that's available in different knowledge bases, databases, publication databases, and so forth. And that allows you to really accelerate your interpretation. And so what we did first is we really optimized that process for hematologic malignancies. And we're now doing that for constitutional genetic disorders. And this process kind of illustrates something about structural variation analysis that people don't really, I would say, are not that familiar with when it comes to sequence variants, because, sequencing's been around and, robust for discovery for a long time. Next generation sequencing's been out and available for, well over a decade now. And so the databases around sequence variants are well populated, and it's easy to query variant calls in these databases. But when it comes to structural variants, the databases are not nearly as far along, and so it requires some development and customization. The other piece that's critical is the reporting. And VIA, right out of the gate, provides incredibly customizable reports that laboratorians will integrate into their validated workflows, but now it's done in a way that it is really specific to the guidelines that are out there, such as those for National Comprehensive Cancer Network, World Health Organization, and others. And those are the sort of frameworks that these hematologic malignancy researchers will use to evaluate samples. And so we needed to integrate that capability into VIA. And similarly, constitutional genetic disorders has its own unique nuances around reporting and what laboratories are accustomed to delivering. And so there is some application customization when it comes to interpretation and reporting.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'm showing no further questions at this time, and I'd like to hand the conference back over to Eric Holmlin for any further remarks.
Thank you, Michelle, and I want to thank everybody for joining today. And I want to emphasize that we are tremendously excited about the future of Bionano and optical genome mapping. And we look forward to updating you on our Q3 call, which will be upcoming soon. So thank you, and speak to you shortly.
This does conclude today's program. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.
All right, guys, so that is it. The conference call is over. Now let me share with you guys what I just figured out, from Bionano Genomics, from what the CEO just said, and from my own calculation. Okay, of course I'm still going to do more research, and then I'll still share a couple of videos with you guys. Okay, maybe 2 to 3 videos. Now this is the plan. If you guys check the comment section, I have been sharing some comments with you guys. I started from Bionano Genomics. I think Bngo is going to be raising like $20 million every quarter. I think it's easy to see the game plan of Eric, and I think this is the best guess. Okay, the best guess of the CEO of Bionano Genomics game plan. Let me show you guys. If you take a look at this revenue, you can see that it has increased, and I think in the third quarter of this year, they are going to be reporting like $9-something million in total revenue. Then in the fourth quarter, I think Bngo is going to get closer to $10 million in revenue. Now, this is what I think the CEO of the company is trying to do. He's trying to get the revenue to $10 million. Then every quarter, they are going to be raising like $20 million per quarter, okay, from at the market, which means the share price is not expected to rise, because whenever it rises, they are going to raise money and then it's going to come back down. So if they raise $20 million every quarter and they are able to bring in $10 million per quarter, that is $30 million, and then they have $77 million in cash and cash equivalents, it means they just need to take like $10 million from the cash, combine it with $20 million from at the market, and then $10 million from total revenue, which is like $40 million, which means the company can still afford to spend like $40 million, from $30 to $40 million per quarter, according to my calculation. I think that is the game plan of the CEO of Bionano Genomics. Now, if you want to consider how much they have left in cash, which is, let's say, $80 million, it means this cash is enough to, for them to run the business for the next 8 quarters or so, in my opinion. $10 million per quarter, $20 million raised from the market, and then total revenue of $10 million, which means Bionano Genomics has a chance, okay, to run their business for 8 quarters, okay, which is, I mean, that is like 2 years till the end, not till the end of 2024. I think till the first half of 2025, this company can still run their business according to my calculation, and this is good. Okay, this is good, and I don't think the CEO is going to step down. I don't think he's going to step down. So now I see his game plan. I think that is his game plan. Him and the CFO, okay, Christopher Stewart, I think that is their game plan. Now they have enough room to run the business for the next 8 quarters, let's say 2 years. For the next 2 years, they have enough room to run the business. Hopefully before before the first half of 2025 is over, Bionano Genomics would be be bringing in more than $10 million in total revenue, perhaps closer to 15 million, $20 million by 2025, which means they don't have to dilute shares. Or if they manage to reduce their expenses, like the CEO already said that they have a plan to reduce the expenses by $20 million, it means they still have enough room, and perhaps they are not going to be raising a lot of money like that. According to the CFO, he said they have raised $17 million, and I have been telling my patrons that I think whenever the share price rises, BNG is going to go to the market, they will raise some money, and then the share price will come back down. And that is of course what I think they have done most recently. $17 million raised most recently. Now if we now put everything that I just said into the chart of Bionano Genomics and try to predict what is expected to happen with the share price of the company, if they keep diluting shares whenever it rallies. If you guys take a look at, I don't know if you guys are familiar with RSI. This is some kind of tool that predicts if something is oversold or overbought. Now if you take a look at the dailies and the RSI, you guys can see that it is not oversold yet. If it is oversold, it's going to be below 20. Now it is still it's at 26. Despite everything that has happened with Bionano Genomics, the RSI is not oversold yet. The last time it was oversold was back in December 2021, and then January 2022. That was the last time we saw that oversold. Now since then, it's more or less still above 20. So what I'm going to be watching is I'm going to be watching this RSI for oversold signal. That's what I'm going to be watching it for, which means I'm not going to buy anything at this price. At right now it is down -7% after hours, which is like 38 cents. This is like 38 cents pre-split, -7%, and this could still go as low as 25 cents in my opinion, which means $2.5. So I am going to be watching this for oversold. I think that is the best strategy. I don't think the company is going to bankrupt or liquidate or whatever right now. I think they still have enough money to run their business for the next 8 quarters, just like I just explained to you guys. So what I'm going to be doing is watching the share price for oversold territory, and then coming back and reassessing, checking all my things and seeing if it's a buy or a sell. So I'm going to be sharing it with my patrons, or you guys could also, just like I explained it, you could also be tracking it by yourself. I'm going to watch the market sentiment. We have inflation going on, all this news, yada yada, CPI data, if the Fed is going to stop raising rates, if they will start cutting rates. We have a lot of things going on at the moment, so I'm going to compare all those things and then look at the RSI of Bionano Genomics. If it is oversold, then you can buy. That's when I can buy and expect to hold it for 2 years. So I think BNG is going nowhere. If you want to hold it, you may still hold on to your shares, but the share price could still go further down because they are going to be raising money at the market. Anytime we see a good news, perhaps the stock is going to rally. Maybe first half of next year we could see a rally. But right now it is down pre-market, and after hours we still have to wait and see what's going to happen tomorrow, how further down it's going to go. Perhaps it's going to go further down, or maybe it's going to turn green tomorrow. Nobody knows. So yeah, those are the things that I'm going to be watching with Bionano Genomics. And like I said, the CEO is going nowhere. We just have to get used to that guy. I mean, I wish somebody could replace him, but it's not going to happen. This guy has a game plan, and I think I just explained his game plan. Now, Bionano Genomics reported $8.7 million total revenue for the second quarter of 2023, an increase of 30%. And this operating expenses was $41.5 million, which is way higher than they have ever spent. This is record breaking in the history of the company. Meanwhile, in the second quarter, they told us they are going to reduce, expenses yada yada. But as you guys heard from the CFO and the CEO, they are yet to reduce those expenses, and we can see they are still spending money. Hopefully, this is the maximum. Everything I just said is pertaining to what they reported this operating expenses. If they come in the third quarter and spend more than $40 million, then you can throw everything I just said to trash. Anyway, so cash available $77.1 million, and then yeah, that is it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to cut this clip and then reshare it so you guys don't have to rewatch it once again. I'm going to reshare it. Then tomorrow I'm going to do a preview of the earnings after the markets open tomorrow, or perhaps when the market closes, so that we can at least see how investors react to this second quarter earnings and the earnings call, yada yada. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to smash the like button before you leave. I remain your boy Dayo. If you have any question, I have 2 minutes left, to answer any question that you may have. This assumes they can keep the price over $1. Yeah, absolutely. If they manage to keep the price above $1, it will be awesome. Okay, it will be awesome. If not, this is bad. If the price drops below $1, it means BNG is going to perform another reverse stock split, possibly. According to my experience, whenever a company splits their stock reversely like this, a company that is losing money, not yet profitable, and spending more money every quarter, anytime they perform a reverse stock split, the stock mostly goes down. Okay, and that's of course what we are seeing so far. The stock price is going down. Okay, and then once it gets below $1 once again and they need more money, they will perform another reverse stock split. Now, everything I just said is also depending on how the share price is going to perform. If the share price consolidates at this level, or if we see it rallying to like $5 and then back to $3.8 rallying to $5, then BNGO could be raising some money. Okay, in between they could be raising some money and be running the business. But if you see this share price dropping below, let's say $2.5, then we are back. Okay, we are approaching $2, and then we are approaching $1, and then it's going to be very difficult for Bionano Genomics to go to the market and raise some money. So hopefully the share price is going to stay at this level, okay, not towards $1. So that's a very nice one, Christopher. And do you still believe in BNGO? BNGO technology is good, but the executives, okay, the CEO, the CFO, I don't know what they are doing, guys. They could be raising money since last year, even since last year. If you take a look at the share price of this company, okay, look at where we are today. Why would we start to raise money, $20 million per quarter at this level? They could have been doing that since last year when the share price was even, somewhere around here, $30, $40. They could be raising they could have raised at least $150 million at all this level. Okay, then we wouldn't be where we are today. The technology is good. It's very good, but I don't know what the CEO is doing. I don't know how he's, I don't know how we got here, guys. Just about 3 years ago, they raised over $300 million, and then they blew everything, spending $40,000 every quarter. That's a lot of money for a company that is yet to be profitable. So I still believe in the technology, and what I'm doing is, because most of you guys are still holding BNGO, like a lot of people. If you check most of my videos, I'm getting over 1,000 views. It means we still have at least over 1,000 retail investors coming to watch my videos, which means they are possibly still holding on to their shares of Bionano Genomics, which of course is why I still come back to try at least to share my own opinion. So I still believe in the technology, okay, but I don't know what the CEO is doing. I don't know what he's doing. Simon, I don't have anything in BNGO anymore. I mean, come on. With my experience, okay, I've been in this market since 2016, okay, and like most of you guys at the beginning, I have lost a lot of money to a company like Bionano Genomics, and then I simply saw what was going on, and at the beginning of this year, I told my patrons, no way I'm going to put my money in BNGO anymore, and that is of course what I have been doing. I'm putting my money elsewhere, which has helped my portfolio. At one point, it was up 1000%. And I shared everything with them. We have a lot of stocks rallying massively on a daily basis. Okay, so if you took loss on BNGO back in January, just like my patrons, did, and put the money into another stock, for example, Nvidia, okay, or Facebook, or yada yada, or even in Illumina, okay, Illumina even reported today and they went down, after hours. Even in Illumina, it wouldn't be as low as, Bionano Genomics goes, or even in PACBO is up, okay, year to date. PACBO is up year to date. But BNGO, something is going on with this, with the executives of, Bionano Genomics. They are just messing everything up, and it would just be stupid of me to leave all my money in that company. But I'm watching it. I'm still watching Bionano Genomics. I'm waiting for a good buy signal, like I just shared with you guys. I'm waiting for some oversold territory. See how much they raise. I'll keep tracking it, because I found this company when it was trading at the same price, back in 2020. So perhaps there's still an opportunity. And also, we also have to remember that Bionano Genomics acquired 2 companies, which means there is value in the company, okay, in the assets. There is value in the company. They acquired BioDiscovery, spent about $100 million, but right now the market cap of BNGO is even around $100 million. So where is the value? There is value in BNGO somewhere, but right now it is super risky because they are running out of money. $77 million in cash left, which means they are going to be raising money. That's why you just have to calculate everything, before you at least put your money into this company once again. Taha, I will lose 8k, literally 8k if I sell it now. What I told my patron back in January is, if you are down, that back in January it was still a good time to at least take 50% loss and leave the rest. It's still trading around $20, somewhere around here, from $15 to $20. That was when I told them. I told a couple of my patrons, I would take loss completely or sell 50% of my position and put the 50% elsewhere, okay, into a company that is at least profitable, or a company that has path to profitability. Have you guys seen Palantir, for example, how it's rallied? We have NEO even rallying. We have a lot of electric cars companies. We have NEO, we have Rivian, we have XPeng from China. Most of all those stocks rallied. If you took loss in BNGO and put some money into those stocks, okay, you would be up. Okay, you could now wait for BNGO to go even down, maybe to this level, and then put the money back into BNGO if you believe in the company. If not, you could just wait for the company to go extremely down, okay, to be oversold. Like I just shared with you guys, BNGO is not yet oversold on the dailies, which means there is still a chance for it to go even lower. So if it goes lower to, let's say, 2.5, you could come back with your profit from another company and put it back, okay, or you start to buy it again, so that at least you can ride it to the upside. I think if a company wants to acquire BNGO today, the company is going to pay at least I think they should be paying over $300 million in market cap. Right now, the market cap of BNGO is around 100 and something, maybe $120 million. That is the market cap at the moment. I think the company that is going to acquire BNGO is going to pay at least $300 million. So if we see the share price dropping even lower to this 2.5, maybe the market cap drops below $100 million, maybe to 80, 70, then you should know that there is value in BNGO. And if you buy the share of the company, buy some shares, you could, ride it to the upside until somebody acquires it or yada yada, and make some money. So those are the things that I am still calculating with Bionano Genomics. Now Gary is saying that dance floor, he says never, it's going to fail, they are not competent, they will bankrupt, not even looking for a buyer. Yeah, I don't think the CEO of Bngo is looking for any buyer. The guys I don't think this, I just don't trust the CEO. I don't trust him. I don't trust him anymore. All right guys, so that's how we're going to end the video today. Let me know what you're doing in the comment section. I'm going to share another video very soon, so please leave a comment below it. I think I've shared enough, and thanks for watching. When do you think the stock will go up? Please watch. I'm going to share the video. I just explained everything. Please watch it once again. You're going to say you are going to hear everything I just suggested, how I think it's going to go up, and how I think the company still has, they have enough money to run their business till the next 8 quarters. In my opinion, I see a path, okay, to Bionano Genomics surviving for the next 2 years. Let me put it that way. So yeah. All right guys, thanks so much. Ciao ciao.